What if I told you that one man, 2,400 years ago, wrote down the exact location of a lost city, and nobody believed him? His name was Plato, the city was Atlantis. And here's the thing, Plato was not a storyteller. He was the most precise philosopher in history. For 2,400 years, people have been searching. Explorers, scientists, governments, nobody has found it. But the ocean is still mostly dark. Here is what we know. Here is what we do not know. And here is the question nobody wants to answer honestly. Let's go. Plato wrote about Atlantis in 360 BC. He said it clearly. This is not myth. This is history. He claimed the story came from Egyptian priests. Those priests said their records went back 9,000 years before Plato. 9,000 years. That takes us to the end of the last ice age. And here is where it gets interesting. At exactly that time, around 9,600 BC, something catastrophic happened to the entire planet simultaneously. Sea levels rose 60 meters. Coastlines moved hundreds of miles inland. Everything that existed near the water, gone. Underwater, forever. So, was Atlantis one of those coastal civilizations that the sea took? Or was Plato just a very convincing liar? Let's find out. Plato said Atlantis was beyond the Pillars of Hercules, what we now call the Strait of Gibraltar, gateway to the Atlantic Ocean. He described it in detail. Concentric rings of land and water, a golden palace at the center, a navy that conquered most of the known world. And then, in a single day and a single night, it vanished. The sea took everything. And Plato said, this actually happened. Okay, let's look at what Plato actually wrote, because most people have never read it, and the details are, honestly, kind of shocking. He said Atlantis was bigger than Libya and Asia Minor combined. That is not a small island, that is a continent-sized empire in the Atlantic Ocean. The capital was circular, rings of land and water alternating outward from a central island, bridges connecting each ring, a canal to the sea. The outer wall, plated in brass, the middle wall, covered in tin, the innermost wall, coated in orichalcum, a metal that no longer exists. Wait, orichalcum? What is that? Plato said it glowed red gold like fire, second only to gold in value, and found nowhere on Earth today. In 2015, archaeologists found 39 metal ingots in a shipwreck off Sicily, matching orichalcum exactly. The temple at the center, ivory ceiling, silver columns, and inside, a golden statue of Poseidon so tall his head nearly touched the roof. The military, 10,000 chariots, 1,200 warships, 600,000 infantry. This was not a city, this was an empire. Elephants roamed the island, 2 harvests every year, hot and cold springs both flowing. Plato described an island of extraordinary natural abundance. Now here is what is strange. Philosophers write about ideas. They do not write canal dimensions. They do not specify wall materials. Plato did both. He gave us the length of the main canal, the height of the walls, the composition of the metals. Someone measured this. Someone was there. Or, Plato was the most elaborate fiction writer in history. Those are honestly the only 2 options. Pick one. Then the gods punished them. The Atlanteans had grown corrupt, greedy, arrogant. Their divine nature drowned in human ambition. Sound familiar? Zeus called a meeting of all the gods. They looked down at Atlantis. They saw what it had become. And they decided it was time. And then Plato writes the most dramatic sentence in philosophical history. In a single day and night of earthquakes and floods, Atlantis sank. And then, Plato's second dialogue, the Critias, stops. Mid-sentence, the manuscript just ends. We do not even have the full story. Okay, so where was it? Researchers have come up with 7 serious candidate locations. And I mean serious, with actual geological evidence. Location 1, the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, the most literal answer, a vast underwater mountain range running the full length of the Atlantic Ocean. The Azores Islands sticking out of the Atlantic? Those are literally the mountain peaks of this submerged range, the summits of a sunken world. The problem? The ridge has been geologically stable for millions of years. It did not suddenly sink in 9600 BC. The geology does not support it. But defenders say, wait, Plato never said the land sank. He said it was flooded. Sea level rise and geological sinking are completely different things. Location 2, Santorini. In 1600 BC, this Greek island exploded in one of the largest volcanic eruptions in all of recorded human history. The Minoan civilization there was the most advanced in Bronze Age Europe. Multi-story buildings, running water, sophisticated trade routes, then gone overnight. Their survivors fled to Egypt carrying stories of a great island destroyed by the sea. Sound familiar? Egyptian priests, Plato. The chain connects. The problem, Plato put Atlantis in the Atlantic, Santorini is in the Aegean, wrong ocean. Also the dates are off by thousands of years. Two big problems. Location 3, southern Spain. Specifically, the Doñana marshlands, just past Gibraltar on the Atlantic coast. That part matches perfectly. In 2011, radar scanning beneath the marsh found circular buried structures, the dimensions consistent with Plato's written measurements. That is not nothing. And then, Spanish government scientists confirmed tsunami deposits in the sediment cores. A real catastrophic flood. At this exact location. Physical proof. Location 4. The Richat structure in Mauritania, also called the Eye of the Sahara. A geological formation 50 kilometers wide, with perfect concentric rings. Researchers overlaid Plato's exact dimensions onto the Richat structure. The outer ring, the inner island, the proportions, they matched, almost exactly. And here is the part that gets really interesting. 9,000 years ago, the Sahara was green, wet, rivers, lakes, savanna, not sand. Location 5, the Black Sea. Until 7,500 years ago it was a freshwater lake, smaller, with inhabited land all around it. Then the Mediterranean broke in. The Bosphorus land bridge collapsed. Mediterranean salt water poured through like, imagine Niagara Falls times 1,000. The Black Sea rose 100 meters. Robert Ballard, the man who found the Titanic, confirmed ancient preserved structures on the Black Sea floor. Carved wood, ceramics, stone tools. Real. Location 6, the Spartel Bank, a shallow shelf just west of Gibraltar. It was a real island until approximately 9600 BC, Plato's exact date. The geologist named Gutcher found tsunami deposits and earthquake evidence at Spartel dating to, you guessed it, exactly 9600 BC, Plato's timeline. 7 locations. Real evidence at every single one. But here is the honest truth. None of them have been confirmed, and most of the ocean is unexplored. Every candidate shares one feature. It is now underwater. And 95% of the ocean floor has never been properly surveyed. Think about that for a second. Here is what the geological record actually shows. Around 9600 BC, something hit the entire planet at once. Scientists call it the Younger Dryas boundary event. Scientists found nanodiamonds, iridium, and simultaneous wildfire evidence across multiple continents, all at the same moment, all 12,900 years ago. The ice sheets covering North America melted in centuries. Sea levels rose 60 meters. Coastlines moved hundreds of miles inland, within human lifetimes. People watched their world disappear. Each generation, the sea a little closer. Their grandparents' villages, underwater, and they remembered it. They told stories. Every single human civilization on Earth has a flood myth. Every one. Mesopotamia, India, China, the Americas, Australia, the Pacific. Every single one. Australian Aboriginal flood stories have been confirmed by sonar. They describe specific underwater geography, accurately, across 7,000 years of oral tradition. If oral tradition preserves accurate coastal geography for 7,000 years, what can written tradition preserve for 2,500? Ask Plato. Doggerland, the North Sea was dry land until 6,000 years ago. It connected Britain to Europe. People lived there. Now it is 40 meters underwater. North Sea fishermen accidentally trawl up ancient human bones, carved tools, and mammoth teeth from 40 meters below the surface. Every year. Still happening. Pavlopetri, a 5,000-year-old Greek city lying in 4 meters of water. Streets, walls, courtyards, completely visible from the surface above. Cleopatra's Palace, currently under 8 meters of Mediterranean water. Fully mapped. Real. Confirmed. Ancient civilizations underwater. We keep finding them. Ancient civilizations exist underwater. We know this now. Confirmed. Real. Every year we find more. The ocean has been keeping secrets since the Ice Age ended. The technology to find these sites, high-resolution sonar, AI-guided underwater drones, has existed for barely 30 years. We have barely started looking. Seabed 2030, a global initiative to map the entire ocean floor by 2030. Right now as you watch this, ships are out there mapping. The answers are coming. We know more about the surface of Mars than about the ocean floor beneath us. Let that sit for a moment. Mars, more than our own planet's floor. Okay, the honest position. No physical evidence for Atlantis has been confirmed. Science requires physical evidence. That matters and it should be said clearly. Absence of evidence from a 95% unexplored ocean is not the same as confirmed absence. These are genuinely different statements. Both can be true. Troy was called myth for 2,500 years. Until 1871 when Schliemann excavated it and found not one, but 9 cities stacked on top of each other. Knossos, myth until 1900. Mycenae, myth until 1876. The track record of dismissing ancient sources as pure fiction is, honestly, not that good. Peer-reviewed papers on Atlantis appear regularly in mainstream journals now. This is no longer a fringe question. Geologists and archaeologists are taking it seriously. Think about what it would mean if Atlantis were real. Civilization is older than we think, and catastrophic loss is built into human history. It would mean the myths we carry across thousands of years contain real memory, that our stories are not decoration, they are survival, they are warning. LiDAR revealed entire Maya cities hidden under jungle in Guatemala, cities so large they rewrote our entire understanding of Mayan civilization, overnight. If LiDAR finds cities under jungle and sonar finds them under the sea, the question is not whether they exist. The question is just, where? Göbekli Tepe, 12,000 years old, proved complex organized civilization existed at the exact date Plato said Atlantis was destroyed. Exact date. Someone built Göbekli Tepe. Before agriculture, before writing, before cities were supposed to exist. Someone organized, designed, and built this. Who? We are a species with collective amnesia. The Ice Age floods drowned most of the evidence of who we were before the world we know began. The search for Atlantis has become something much bigger. The search for all of Ice Age humanity. Everything built before the flood. Everything we forgot. And here is a detail most people do not know. Plato's second Atlantis dialogue, the Critias, ends mid-sentence. We do not even have his complete account. Maybe the sea took the ending of the Atlantis story the same way it took Atlantis itself, completely, silently, and without leaving a single trace behind. Here is something worth knowing. Plato was not writing adventure fiction. He was warning Athens. The Atlantis story was a mirror pointed at his own city. The Atlanteans were once noble. Then they became greedy. They forgot what made them worth preserving. Sound familiar? It was supposed to sound familiar. Every era finds what it needs in Atlantis. Plato saw moral warning. Francis Bacon saw a scientific utopia. We see a mystery. The story changes. The question stays. The ocean covers 71% of Earth's surface. Sea levels are 120 meters higher than 20,000 years ago. Most of human prehistory is literally underwater right now. We spent millennia looking for our origins on land. But we are coastal beings. Our ancestors lived at the water's edge. Our history is submerged. Underwater archaeology is the least funded branch of the discipline. Less than 1% of underwater sites have been properly surveyed. 1%. But that is changing. Within 10 years, Seabed 2030 will have detailed maps of the entire ocean floor. Whatever is down there, we will finally be able to see it. When, not if, a major pre-Ice Age civilization is confirmed underwater, the timeline of human history will need to be completely rewritten. When, not if. Imagine the moment, an ROV moving across ocean floor, then a wall, cut stone, a carved surface, the first physical confirmation. Somewhere, that moment is coming. That moment has not come yet. But every year the ocean gives something up. Every year the archive opens a little wider. The search is real and it is serious. The Atlantis story asks us one question, and it has been asking it for 2,400 years. What are we building, and does it deserve to survive what is coming? Plato asked that of Athens 2,400 years ago. Athens fell. Rome fell. Every civilization that believed itself permanent fell. Every single one. The ocean does not forget. What it takes, it keeps. Perfectly preserved in the dark and the cold, waiting for the instrument lights to eventually find it. New anomalies flagged every year. New sonar returns requiring explanation. New missions planned. The search is systematic now. Professional, scientific, real. The honest answer, we do not know if Atlantis existed. The ocean is mostly dark. The question is genuinely open. Anyone who says otherwise is not being honest. But something existed on those coastal plains before the sea rose. Something was built. Something was lost. And we have only just begun to look for it. Maybe the most important thing about Atlantis is not whether it was real. It is what Plato was saying when he wrote it. And whether we are listening. New technology arrives every year. New scans, new voids mapped, new corridors found. The investigation is not over. It has, genuinely, barely started. Somewhere beneath this surface, in the dark and in the silence, if it existed, the answer has been waiting for 12,000 years. Patiently. For us. Atlantis. The question is real. The ocean is real. And if it is down there, it has been waiting since before we learned to ask the question.